Back for another deep dive. I was looking around online and I found this video with this really dramatic title.
Oh, yeah.
It's called Five Laws Every American Must Know. Avoid Jail. Avoid jail. Like, whoa.
That'll get your attention for sure.
Yeah, right. But, it did make me think, like, what if I'm accidentally breaking some laws out there and don't even know it?
It's a valid question. The law can be surprisingly tricky, and it often pops up in places we least expect it.
Exactly. And this video really digs into some of those unexpected areas. Like, okay, you ready for this? Squatters' rights.
Squatters' rights.
I always thought that was something like, from a history book or something, but apparently it's still a thing.
Oh, yeah, definitely still a thing. It's a bit more complicated than just someone setting up camp in your backyard, though. The rules about what defines a property as abandoned and how long someone needs to be there to make a claim,
Right.
well, that can change depending on where you are. It varies a lot from state to state.
So you're telling me that, like, if I leave my house empty for a while, someone could just, I don't know, move in and try to claim it's theirs?
It's not quite that simple, but yeah, in some states, if you leave a property vacant for a certain amount of time, like say a year, and you don't take specific steps to secure it, then yep, you could potentially be opening the door for someone to make a legal claim. It's definitely something to be aware of, especially for folks with second homes or rental properties.
Okay, that's a little freaky. All right, so let's shift gears a bit here. Let's talk about cars. Specifically, those cars that turn out to be total lemons.
Ah, yes, the dreaded lemon. I think we've all had a car trouble at some point, right?
Oh, tell me about it. But seriously, what are these lemon laws all about?
So, lemon laws exist to protect us, the consumers, from those vehicles that are, shall we say, fundamentally flawed.
Okay.
It's not just about a few minor repairs here and there, though. To qualify as a lemon, the vehicle usually needs to have a major defect, something covered by the warranty that just keeps coming back no matter how many times it's fixed.
So we're talking engine problems, transmission issues, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And it has to be something that the dealer has tried to fix multiple times and just hasn't been able to resolve.
So knowing your rights under these lemon laws, that's got to be important.
For sure, it can save you a ton of frustration and potentially a lot of money in the long run.
Okay, so now, get this. The video talks about jaywalking. We've all probably crossed the street against the light a time or two, right? But did you know you could get slapped with a $200 fine for doing that in New York City?
Yeah, New York, they're pretty serious about their jaywalking laws, but what's interesting is how those laws came about in the first place.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that.
Well, back in the early 20th century, the auto industry actually played a big role in promoting jaywalking laws.
Really?
Yep. They wanted to shift the blame for accidents away from drivers and onto pedestrians.
Wow.
It's a great example of how powerful interests can shape our social norms and even our legal systems.
It really makes you think about how we balance safety and personal freedom in our cities, doesn't it? Okay, let's move on to something a little more modern. We're in the age of smartphones, right?
That we are.
And recording conversations, well, that's become pretty common. But the laws around that can be a bit of a minefield.
Absolutely. You really need to be aware of whether you're in a one-party consent state or a two-party consent state.
Okay, break that down for me.
So say you're in a work meeting and you want to record it. In a one-party consent state, you're good to go. You're part of the conversation, so you can record it.
Gotcha.
But in a two-party consent state, everyone involved in the conversation needs to give their permission before you can hit record.
That makes sense, but it also sounds like it could get complicated pretty quickly.
It can, especially in situations where you have a lot of people involved. It's always best to err on the side of caution and make sure everyone's on board before you start recording.
Good advice. And speaking of things that can get complicated quickly, let's talk about social media. It's so easy to forget that what we do online can have real-world consequences.
Oh, absolutely. It's easy to get caught up in the moment and say things online that we might never say in person.
Right.
But the courts are taking online threats very seriously these days, even if they're meant as jokes.
Makes sense. Words have power even in the digital world.
They do. A threatening message, even one that's intended to be funny, can cause real fear and distress, and that can lead to legal trouble.
So it's not just about avoiding jail time. It's about being responsible and respectful online. Well, this video really got us thinking, didn't it? From squatters to lemons to jaywalking and beyond, it seems like the law is lurking around every corner.
It is, and it's constantly evolving. The key takeaway here, I think, is awareness. Knowing your rights and responsibilities, whether it's in relation to your property, your car, your conversations, or your online activity, is crucial in today's world.
I couldn't agree more. And it leaves me wondering, what other seemingly ordinary actions might have surprising legal consequences? Something to think about, right?
Definitely food for thought. Stay informed and stay safe out there, everyone.
And on that note, thanks for joining us for another deep dive.